Hey there, welcome along to Navigating the Shift, Annabelle and Sarah here. Sarah's gone a bit wobbly with her with her camera today. We are just tuning in with what's going on over the last week and how things seem to have quietened down. I think it almost feels like a lot of the truthers are going, oh, let's just stop and have a little bit of a rest. There's only a little bit of information to dig around, not a lot of disclosure, not a lot of big happenings. But yeah, we've got some info on the latest so-called president, haven't we?
Yes. Well, and evidently the phrase regret voting for Biden is trending on Google.
Bet Twitter won't like that. They'll get rid of that as quick as they can.
Really quick. And, you know, I went on to Google. I don't usually use Google, of course, on Chrome and Google to test, and I put that phrase in, and there were articles about people saying, you know, about regretting, and we think you're going to regret and all of that stuff. So, you know, and that's with it being suppressed, I'm sure.
Yeah, I bet. Google's actually been having a bit of an argument with Australia lately that the Australian government, you remember when they decided to investigate China over something? I can't remember what it was now, but then China decided to stop importing all our stuff, and all Australians went, oh my God, what are we going to do? But in fact, we found new buyers for pretty much everything, and we suddenly found we had the cream of the crop and the best fruit that I'd never seen before, and all our barley went to India, and we found a new buyer for coal that was exactly the same price, so we didn't lose any money. So
wow.
It actually was a great thing. Now we've got Google. The Australian government want to change the rules here that say that Google must be forced to pay news media outlets for their content.
Right, I did read that.
Right, they get collecting their advertising fees, and they're not paying the news media people who would normally rely on advertising money, but they're not getting any money. And so Google threatened the Australian government and said, we're going to shut off our search engine. So all of us are like, yeah, baby. I put it up on my social media and said, DuckDuckGo is very, very good. Because if they shut down their search engine, that's the end of a lot of their advertising as well. Not all of it.
Right.
They have banners and column advertising and that sort of thing. But surely the majority of their money must come from advertising. So
we shall see.
Yeah.
I have actually watched a few snippets from the new press secretary. Oh my God. First of all, this woman's energy is so bad. She has, I would say, suppressed anger, or just like anger under the surface. She can't speak. She says, every other word. It's ridiculous. And whenever they actually ask her a substantive question, she says, let me circle back with you on that. Yeah, I'll circle back. I mean, people are putting together edited videos of her each time she says, I'll circle back with you. I'll check in. I'll circle back with you on that. And then one person said, yeah, we've asked her a second time now. She never circles back. She just says she will. So here's another sort of obvious thing. It was like, I mean, she's not beautiful like Trump's press secretary, that's for sure.
Yes. Kelly McEnany.
McEnany, yes, that's her name.
That looks so much like Carolyn Kennedy. It's very suspicious.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah.
So
I think got any training. Maybe they're not like normally.
No, she worked for Obama.
Oh, so there's not really any excuse. That's weird. Someone showed me a photo of the end of the inauguration where you have a picture that's taken at the front of the White House with president and wife, vice president and wife. And in the last administration, there was a general standing there with huge lots of medals all down here. And then in the new administration, same layout, but in the middle is somebody with a mask and a black coat and no medals. So the military, there's quite a number of things that we've looked at that show the military are not backing this person at all. He's not invited to the Pentagon, even though he's put his nominee forward. And I'm wondering if this person's ever going to get in there, because they're not invited in. They're not allowed to go to the Pentagon.
Did you see that when the Bidens tried to enter the White House, they couldn't get in? The door was locked.
There's a tweet here from Michael DeLausen. It says, new updated White House from live feed. Front lights just kicked on, unoccupied. No Marines standing at the front door. Curtains drawn open in upstairs residence. No lights on. Meanwhile, in Palm Beach, Florida, both Secret Service and military are swarming Mar-a-Lago area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the idea, I think, well, DC, like the City of London and like the Vatican, it's not part of the United States.
No.
So it's illegal for our rulers to be ruling from a foreign nation. I think DC is going to go away. I don't think it's going to be the capital anymore.
But it's interesting. We've learned about these three centers in the world that are the centers for, the dark forces, that they have Washington, D.C. for military and politics, City of London for finance, and the Vatican for the religious side of things and whatever else, the spiritual side of things, which is underrated by most people. But all three of these have had issues happening. There's been a big fire in the Houses of Government in Westminster. The Vatican had its blackouts. Some people have said there've been mass arrests, but I'm just not going to go on with that because I need to see more information before I think that that's a possibility. So, yeah, all three.
Well, there were the guy in Washington, D.C. or not, saw behind the White House a bunch of like portables, the type of trailer you would put at a building site to have your offices.
Yeah.
With a bunch of military around it. I'm like, what are they doing with those? Who's in there? So, I mean, the bottom line is, when anything you see about, Biden did this and Biden did that, it's all nonsense. Biden didn't do anything. He can sit up there and sign his executive orders. I think he's up at 36 now. There's nothing behind there. And his signature isn't the same either. Some of the things that so it's fake, was that Biden rode in on a commercial jet, on a private jet. He didn't arrive in a military plane.
Yep.
It was a different song than is the classic song played in the inauguration. He didn't get the 21 gun salute where they blow off the cannons. So
yep.
I guess there's different patterns of those, and the pattern that they did, somebody recognized it as being for a foreign dignitary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the inauguration supposedly, streamed live, but one guy, Charlie Ward, is that his name? He says he got it sent to him 9 hours before it happened, and he sent it to a bunch of people to prove it. So,
and there were fireworks. It showed them all standing out the front with fireworks, but people that lived there said no, there were no fireworks. So,
and I think the flags are CGI too.
The flags.
The gazillion flags are supposedly where normally people would be.
Oh, I thought they did plant them and then pick them all back up again.
But I don't know. I saw somewhere that somebody was filming during supposedly the inauguration, and there were no flags.
Oh, gosh. We just don't know what we're watching anymore. There was a lovely little video of the three presidents, Obama, Clinton and Bush, standing together talking, supposedly on Inauguration Day, and then Obama flicked out, just the same as, remember that one of the Pope standing there waving on his little, balcony. He turns around to go back inside and he disappears, like they turned the hologram off a bit early. So, and that's what happened with Obama, and then he popped back on even though the voice was still going. It's a bit like Milli Vanilli. So,
right. I mean, it's all fake. It really is. You're watching a movie. It's so true.
Maybe they need to make it really obvious so that people will start going, hang on a minute, hang on.
I think so. I mean, I've seen people have collected tweets of people going, man, I was worried that I was going to regret voting for Biden, but I didn't think I would in the first week. It's just like,
Yeah.
So the other little tidbits for why it was fake was Biden was sworn in after Harris, which is not the way you do it. And that thing we talked about last time where the military guys along the parade, the ones that were facing the motorcade, were not at attention. Now, that could be that wasn't actually the president in that one, or, whatever it was. They're not going to salute. Are they going to salute to the whole damn thing? I don't know. I went back and looked at 2017, and it seemed like they held that for the whole time. So it seems like he doesn't have the launch codes for the bombs.
No, doesn't have a Secret Service box on his desk either.
That's right, that special phone box that you can just
Press
push a
the
button and you got the
Service
Secret
runs it.
Service. That's right. And then they didn't even change the artwork. The painting to his right is the exact same one as on the set
The film set, yeah, of Castle Rock. So we were
of
told
Castle
about
Rock.
looking out for Castle Rock. And there was another, unfortunately, it was edited, so you can't really tell if it's just two shots put together or if it really is what's going on. But there was a photo of Biden talking, and then the next shot was like a close-up of people sitting there watching, and there was a guy in the second row that had Castle Rock on his beanie. So you don't know there again, was that just two different shots put together to make it look like the Castle Rock guy was watching, or
yeah. But at any rate, I think we can just relax. Things are going along
like
as they
relax. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, there's regardless of how bad this may look, I think I just don't feel heavy about this at all.
Mm-mm. And I think I sent you a person channeling the Galactic Federation. Now, this isn't somebody I know or have a lot of history with, but when I read it, I was like, yeah, that felt clean and true. And they were saying that the revelation, whatever is going to happen, it's going to be about the voter fraud, will be within a week or so. That's the plan. And things have been postponed, but it's not going to be postponed anymore. Now, information that we've gotten before has been not till March. We have a longer time until finally this cracks. But who knows? I mean, maybe the turbulence I saw as going on through like the third week of March is more the shock of people finding, and not us going, holy crap, it's still going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a more pessimistic guy who was doing his video, and it's always good to see a variety of different opinions to see what feels right. And this guy was going, look, this is going to go on for several months until it'll keep going until you wake up more and more and more and more people, and they realize what a really bad idea this was, because there is still quite a lot of popularity for Biden. That yes, he was in the minority in the votes, but there's still a lot of people that were on his side, and they need to see, not just convinced about voter fraud and, oh, damn, we missed out. Not like that. They need to see that this guy was not a person you want to be voting for. That's very different from just simply losing an election. So
really, it was going to have to look like we're in full-on communism here, right?
Yeah, exactly. In which case, don't let it get to you. Just watch. Yeah.
Okay, so let's switch over. I want to talk about the Leo full moon, which is on the 28th. We're in the US, 29th in Australia. And it's a pretty potent puppy, this one.
This is amazing.
Yeah. So the sun is, of course, opposite the moon. That's how you get a full moon. But the sun is conjunct Saturn and Jupiter, and it's in Aquarius. Everything's up there. And Mercury's in Aquarius, too. So there's still a whole lot of Aquarian energy going on. And then squaring both the sun, the moon, Jupiter, and Saturn is Mars conjunct Uranus, which is over in Taurus. And this configuration is called a T-square. And when you have a T-square, and this is all opposite, the opposites are push-pull, and the squares are sort of like in the US, it's like a hard left turn, for those who drive on the right side of the street, whereas the trines are like an easy right turn because you have to get around and all of this stuff. It's a real jarring energy. So there's a whole lot of that. It's like, oh God, what are we doing? So the way you break free from that is to go the opposite of the triangle point, I guess you would say. And that is in the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio is fire, it's passion, it's intensity. It means getting into the emotions and mastering them, actually, to be able to fully feel. And it's very sensual too, so it's embrace what's going on. It's like, oh my God, the world is going crazy. whatever it is, feel it. That's how we move through it. You know how much better you feel after a good cry. You know what I mean? But it's not so much a cry kind of feeling as it can be anger. Is what I'm suspecting is going to be. Some people are just going, I've had enough. I've had fucking enough. And be okay with that. It's okay to feel that.
Yeah.
And I know because you've been going through stuff too.
Yeah. Challenges that happen on a personal level often reflect the larger. So
yes.
Things that people don't really want to talk about, they don't share it, but it's really there, isn't it, for lots of us?
Yeah. So Saturn and Jupiter sort of thought of as being opposite energies. One's a stop and one's a go. It sort of has this sort of like, what are we doing? And the sun comes in and puts fuel to it. So that's that same energy of, we want to just do it already, right? Do it. Get the revelation, the answer out, go. And then there's another energy that's going, no, wait. And I'm feeling it. Whoops, sorry about shaking the camera again. I'm feeling it. It's like when the Congress certified the votes, and I wasn't going to be able to go to my son and go, see, I told you so. I was like, so pissed. I don't want this to go on anymore. I want to be done with this already. So I think that's the energy here. So the good news is at the same time, bouncing back in Capricorn, which represents the whole culture, society, patriarchy, everything. Pluto has been there a while, and Pluto just says, we're going to dig up all the dirt and put it out. It's death, but it's also rebirth. The underworld, the basement where you hide all the crap. So it's conjunct Venus, which just brings this little softer energy to it. So if you take that, like the hard angles are, push, pull, Mars, all of that stuff, and Neptune and all these things. And the passion of Scorpio, which is that out for the T-square, and then the smooth energy of Venus and Pluto is saying it's okay to look at this stuff. It's okay to have that. It's just to me it says how I'm interpreting the Scorpio is supported or whatever, right? It's right. There you go. I did the right thing. I guess the idea is to embrace with open arms all parts of yourself. Your personal shadow. We're having worldwide shadow being exposed and personal shadow being exposed. And that's the most powerful work you can do. When I first started doing like past life regressions, I did a lot of victim lives. And a lot of people do. And you go through and oh my God, my husband murdered me and left me on the fields, all this stuff. But the most powerful ones were the ones where I was the perpetrator. Because when you get to those and you find that place where you have allowance for the you that was the serial rapist murderer, or the one who actually turned off the power and allowed the reptilians to destroy Atlantis, or whatever, whatever the thing is, the emotion in there, of course, is shame. And it's really powerful tool to release shame. And I can tell you, I've had a lot of clients who've said to me, you're the only person I could ever say any of this stuff to. So that's
about forgiveness, isn't it, as well? So if we are resonating with these lives that have done terrible things that have caused such suffering to humanity, that if as each light person that's kind of tuned in with this and looking at past lives or resonant lives goes into that space, to be able to forgive yourself is one of the biggest things, because you do that on behalf of the whole of humanity.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what you've got here, this pattern in the astrology, how long is that going to last, that big strong push-pull thing?
Oh, it's not real long, because the moon travels so quickly. So what happens on the new moon is peaked out in a full moon. So it's sort of like here's the intensity of what happened 2 weeks ago. So, we can think back to 2 weeks ago, what's going on, all this stuff. And here's the moment when we actually get to purge it out, I guess you could say. And by the way, I realized recently, I told you this, Annabella, we talked about releasing things, and I'm very interested in language. And I realized when you say, "Oh, I'm going to release this feeling," you're releasing it. You're like you're renting it again.
Back. Yeah, exactly.
One
So
of those
many things.
sneaky
We're going to have
words.
to change all our words, a lot of words that are not working. And I understand that the language that we used to use before had more letters in it as well. There were like at least 3 or 4 or 5 more letters, and that
Huh.
the sound of these things were peace and love. And it feels like theory at this stage because we're so far, it's so far back from, well, what does it, from finding the actual evidence of it. But that a lot of these things were taken out to alter the way that we speak. And that, yeah, what was I reading? I think it was Kim Gauguin's stuff talking about how the Latin language is a reptilian language. I'm like,
Wow.
well, I'd heard that, but then I'd also heard that the S's is snaky kind of reptilian stuff as well, and that we didn't have that before. Because if you look at Lemurian language is meant to sound more like Native American, which has very few S's in it. If you listen to Native American Indian, like Sioux language and that kind of thing, Hopi, very few S's in there, if any at all. So you see how these things have been added along.
Oh yeah, I remember. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. Somebody actually went in and got, I think it was a pre-1945 dictionary, and started going through with a modern one and cataloging exactly how the changes were made.
Mm-hmm.
That it was like a deliberate at a particular time. A whole lot of words, their meanings got changed in the dictionary.
Oh wow. Fascinating. Yeah. So
Yes.
I know that, like, even the word understand is, that's another good example, because in the straw man material, they're saying if a policeman says to you, do you understand? Don't ever say yes, because it means you will stand under them when they are the public servant. But they'll always use that term, and so will a judge in court. And so you're better to say, I comprehend what you're saying.
Yes.
But you never agree to understand. And I think JCK as well, she's using a lot more of inner stand. I understand.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah.
Well,
I just got a book called The Seventh Seal, and it's writing about how even the King James version of the Bible was actually written with love and peace and magic and spiritual energy in it. So I'm looking forward into reading that, because I always think, oh, King James was a horrible, he was an abusive person, let's put it that way, and this thing can only be done to manipulate us more, but there's beauty in there as well. So and because I wasn't raised in a religion, I don't have any Bible knowledge, so I haven't been programmed about the Bible, so I'll let you know.
Sounds good. So thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next week. Bye.